Okay, this is part 2 of the arrays and array lists. So I mentioned in part 1 about arrays and 2D arrays. Now I'm going to talk about the array list. Okay, the array list is a class. It implements the list interface. So it's similar to an array. There are a couple of differences that I'll talk about here. So number one, when you create an array, you have to define the size of the array at the beginning. So you cannot, if you create an integer of an array of ints length 5, you can't change it. An array list, it kind of grows dynamically, which means it can grow later in the problem. Okay, you can just add something to the list, and it will just add that to the end, or you can tell it to add it to a certain index. And the other thing is array list uses objects only. Now, the primitive types like ints, doubles, characters, and booleans can't be used in an array list. However, the integer and doubles, because we use them a lot, you can use a wrapper class of those, which we'll look into that. Basically, just wraps an integer into an object, into an integer object, and a capital integer object. And then you can work with them. Okay, and this only will be an int. So let's get into the array list here. So an array list, let's first create it. And I did ints last time. I'll do strings here for array list. So let's do array list. And this is how we define the type. Okay, so this is an array list of strings. I'll call it words. Notice that I don't have to set a size here. Okay, so that's my array list. It's called words. Nothing's in there. So the only way to put things into an array list is to use the add function. So I could do words.add Sam. Words.add Mike. Words.add Will. Okay, so right now it's Sam, Mike, Will in that order. So when you add something to a list, it goes to the end. Now, if you do words.add Jerry 2, or let's say 1, I think the 1 goes first. Let's see. Words. Let's try this. Okay, so you got the integer first, but that would add Jerry to index 1. So that would become Sam, Jerry, Mike, Will. So everything else just kind of slides down the list. Okay, if you add Jerry at the index 1, then it'll add it there, everything will ship. So if I print out words, which the toString method is already defined in array list, it's just going to show each one of these strings. We can see it. Here it is. Okay, so that's how it works. Now there's some other methods, like you could do a words.set to be Craig. Now, this is what it looks like right here. I'm going to set actually means you're going to change that Mike to Craig. So what it's going to look like now is Sam, Jerry, Craig, Will. That's set. Now, let's say I wanted to print out the number of words or the number of characters in each one of my words in my list. In other words, 3 5, 5, and 4. I wanted to print those out. Okay, so I'm not just printing out the list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to traverse through this array list. Array lists also start at index 0. I think you've already realized that. Sam is at index 0. Now, array lists don't have a length, they have a size, and it's a method. So it's kind of hard to keep straight of everything you got. In strings, you have a length method. Arrays have a length field, and array lists have a size method. So you just have to kind of keep those straight. So let's do system.out.print. Now, if I want to get one of the words, I don't do words bracket 1 like you do for an array. You have to use a method called get. Now, just like set, you get. Okay, I'm not setting it, I'm getting it. So words.get I. Let's do, if I did that, it would just print them all out. That's the same thing as what the toString method does. But let's just say if I do words.get I, that will give me the word at index I. So index 1, index 2, or 0, 1, 2, 3. So let's just say I run the length method. Now the length method is for strings. So I'm basically printing out the number of characters in each string. So again, 3, 5, 5, 4. Let's see that that works. 3, 5, 5, 4. Okay. So that's how array lists work. There's a couple of other methods like contains. I don't even know if it's case sensitive or not. I don't think things have to be exactly that. Mike will tell you if your list contains Mike. Well, it's not now, even if it was capitalized, because Mike's not in the list anymore. So if you print out words.contains Mike, it will say false. Okay, it's Mike not in the list. If the word is in the list, it will say true. And you can look at some of the other array list methods. You need to know them all. They will be given to you on the exam as far as the headers. But that's one. There's also a remove. You can just remove something from a list. You just tell what index you want to remove. So that's how array lists work. The last thing I want to do here is I want to show you using an array. In this case, I'll do an array of circles. Circle. Okay, so I have created an array of circles, size 4 or length 4. There are 4 circles. Okay, right now they're all null. Null is the default for objects. So let's just say I did circle. Now this is an array, not an array list, so you got to keep them straight. New circle. Remember, circle took in 3 parameters. That is centered at the origin with a radius 4. That's centered at 3, 4 with radius 5. Centered at 5, 12, and these can be negative. The radius cannot, even though we didn't set up error testing or anything like that. And the last one. So I have 5 circles, or actually I didn't need the last one. It's supposed to be 4 circles. Okay, so there's 4 circles. Now, let's say I wanted to get the areas of all of them. So I would go through starting at index 0. And you don't want to just go to 4 or 3 because you want to do the general case always. So, because if you create more circles, this code still wouldn't change. It'd be the same thing. So it goes through all of them. Now let's print out the area. So what I have to do is I would do circles, bracket, I, whichever circle I'm doing all of them, dot get area. Now remember, if you didn't watch it, in our circle class we created a get area circle or method for circles. This calls a circle object, just the ones you're seeing right here. This one first, this one second, this one third, this one fourth. And it will print thought we were in the same class. Let me check. What's going on here? The file seed seems to have disappeared. Okay. So somehow that file dropped. There's not an error there. As long as you're in the same project, then this would work. So I guess I need to wrap this up because our files. What this would do is print out the area of each one of these circles, which would be 16, 25, 169, and 49. It's just the radius squared. Oh no, it'd be those radius squared times pi, which is what you would get there. Okay. So since my circle class has been erased, probably trying to do these videos, then I'll conclude this.